Another day, another Donald Trump scam to report to you guys. Trump's Political Action Committee donated $650,000 to the Smithsonian Institute to help underwrite portraits of him and Melania at the National Portrait Gallery, new report claims. So, look, you might look at this and say, well, I don't know what you're talking about, Kyle. This is common for presidents to do this, have these ridiculous portraits of them made, and they cost a gargantuan amount of money, and this is just, standard operating procedure. You might think that, but you'd be wrong because of where this money is coming from. So they explain here, Donald Trump's PAC gave $650,000 to the Smithsonian Institution to pay for portraits of the former president and Melania. It's the first time in recent history a political entity is paying for paintings. The paintings are usually funded by donations from private donors. The July 14th charitable contribution was listed in Trump's monthly Save America PAC filing to the Federal Election Commission. Money will cover artists' fees and other costs. Work has begun, but no date yet for the paintings to be unveiled. The portraits will hang in the National Portrait Gallery. So, in other words, look, whenever you have these other presidents who get their portraits, and they all do, right? But that comes from a private donor, usually an individual donor, who funds it. This is coming directly out of Donald Trump's PAC, his political PAC. And they go on to explain in this article that, look, so Donald Trump has taken a lot of money from big donors over his time in politics. There's no doubt about it. And he lied about that, by the way, when he first ran and pretended like he was self-funding his campaign. That was an utter lie when you look at the specifics of it. But in recent years, since the whole Stop the Steal thing and January 6th, there has been a tapering off of the big money donors from supporting Trump. So he has had to rely a lot more on this, crowdfunding, getting small dollar donors. And Donald Trump has a very, very committed 30% chunk of the country who are willing to make it rain on his ass. So he goes to those people, asks for donations. It's for nominal political reasons. And now he's taking $650,000 of those dollars for a giant fucking portrait of himself. Now, look, my guess is, honestly, you ask a lot of these people, and they'll say, no, that's totally cool. I'm fine with that. I want Donald Trump to be able to have a $650,000 portrait. I know he pretended all this money would go to actual political spending, and this is just for self-aggrandizement, but nah, bro, I'm cool with that, because you know how these guys usually function. Well, this is the new scandal. I don't know if you guys remember this slightly older scandal, but honestly, I think this one's even more egregious. The January 6th committee says the Trump campaign ripped off donors. But was it illegal? Now listen to the specifics of this. We covered this at the time, but I just want to remind everybody that this is how this man operates. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol is calling it the big ripoff. It says the Trump campaign took $250 million in donations from supporters that it said would go to an election defense fund to pay for legal fees to overturn the 2020 presidential election. But the fund was never actually created. Representative Zoe Lofgren, one of the committee members, said Monday in the panel's second public hearing. Instead, the money went to the Save America Political Action Committee, she said, and the money went from there to several pro-Trump organizations, which are headed by former officials close to Donald Trump's inner circle. Not only was there the big lie, referring to Trump's false allegations of election fraud, there was the big ripoff. $250 million he raised from the grassroots, said it was going to go towards stopping the steal, and they didn't even create the legal entity they would have needed to do that. They took the money, it went right to his PAC, and went right to other Trump organizations that were run by his allies. So they go on to explain in this article, is this a crime, is it not a crime? They go on to explain you would need specifics of them taking this money and then using it for personal use. Okay? So are they going to be able to prove that? I don't know, because usually these sorts of scams are very high-minded and they involve a whole bunch of, shifting money around to different legal entities to kind of obscure what you're doing. So it's not exactly clear what you're doing. And Trump is a longtime scam artist. He may have dotted his I's and crossed his T's, or he may have not. But the reason I'm bringing this up now is because, man, doesn't that sound a lot similar to this story, this new one we got? using his political PAC money for self-aggrandizement to buy $650,000 portrait. So this is an example of they are using it for personal spending, right? They are doing that. I mean, I guess he can make a stretch of an argument that, no, this is related to my presidency, and so therefore it is political, but is this really what people genuinely had in mind originally when they were donating to Trump? And is this what people had in mind when they were donating to Trump? I'm going to give you $250 million to stop the steal, and then you don't spend any of that money on quote-unquote stopping the steal. So, classic Trump. Look, you should not be surprised by this. I mean, it's still worthy of coverage, but you should not be surprised by this, because this is the guy who did Trump University, where he had to pay out like $25 million to people who were defrauded because it was a fake university. So there you have it. Like I said, another day, another Trump scam, and we have the specifics to prove it.